When you look at this road trip of, two tough teams that you guys have played against, and really competitive against Grizzlies and the Spurs, is this like just a good test, kind of just evaluate where you are, kind of thing?
Well, just another good test. Last night we were tested again, and there were a lot of good things. Obviously, we didn't close it the way we wanted to, but just another test. And one at a time. 3 really good teams. You got to bring our best. I think that's at the end of the day, we got to bring our best. We got to be ready. We got to be prepared. We got to do our job. But they're going to force us to fight and scrap and claw every single possession. So great test for our group.
Maybe how do you kind of balance, particularly talking about Queen and Fear, balancing them starting and balancing maybe pulling back on it because the results might not be where you want them to be. Throwing them out in the fire versus kind of pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, it's that's the measure I have to work on every day is what makes sense for the team, what makes sense for their development and their growth. And I'm trying to figure that out as we go. Fully healthy, maybe that looks a little bit different right now. But for right now, that's where we're at. And I think as consistent as we can be with the rookies, the better. The more consistent you can be with any lineup and team, the better, right? So I'm trying to stay poised and not try to mix up too many things at this moment, especially for young guys. Now, as we get healthier, maybe there's some different conversation there. But I want their confidence high, number one, and being as consistent as possible helps do that.
And from a health perspective, how is Herb doing? Did he practice and same thing with Jose?
Herb practiced again today. Jose's making progress. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jose joins us at some part of this road trip to be active. That's the goal right now. That's what we have our eyes set on. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's the goal.
Is Zion better?
Zion's better today. Yeah. Zion was better.
Did he go through practice?
No practice, but he was better today.
And regarding DeJounte Murray, is there any updates? I know he's been around the facility, from what I've heard. Do you have any kind of where he is maybe in his progress, in his return?
I wish I could give you more a medical update. I don't have that. I know the timeline that we've set for him, he's on that timeline. There's been no setbacks. I think I don't want to be a medical expert up here, but I think they're typically about a year out, is where most Achilles tears tend to return from, in that range. So I think we're well within that range right now. He's working his tail off, I know that.
And we haven't talked to Joe, but just what have the conversations kind of been like with him as far as just where the team is? Joe,
I'm not going to speak for Joe. You can talk to Joe. My conversations with him are always upbeat, positive. We're very clear about where we're at, what we're looking to do. There's clarity in our conversations. There's honesty in our conversations. There's transparency in our conversations. And look, there's things we got to get better at, and there's things that we're really improving. So. The goal is to be competitive, and we've done that. 16 of our last 31 have been clutch games. We're right in the thick of it. We're playing 3 rookies. I think as I checked it last night, we played the second most rookie minutes out of any team in the NBA right now, and we certainly started the most games, I believe, out of any team with rookies this year. You put that together with the competitive spirit. Zion's trending the right way. Murph is taking a massive step. Missy's taking a massive step. There's a lot of good going on. PV stepped up last night. He looks like another player as well. When Jose has played, he's given us big minutes as well. Carlo, every time we put Carlo on the floor, there's good things that happen. So are there things that we can get better? Yeah, Joe and I are very aware of that. We're talking through that. But the goal is to stay together, be transparent about where we're at, stay focused on the goal, which is to compete, build an identity. Young guys develop, but all players develop. It's not just the young guys. And we're seeing development out of a good number of guys. So the goal is to just stay the course. And I forgot who asked me the question last night about Detroit, but 2 years ago, they probably felt like they were in the gutter. And 2 years later, they're at the top of the East. They're a contender for the NBA title this year, 2 years later. And they just, they stuck with it. They built an identity. They stayed poised. Their young guys got better. They developed. They built some toughness and grit, off their tough season, and they move forward. And I think just trying to, the goal for me as one of the leaders in this organization is to keep poised, keep our head about us, and stay focused on the task at hand, which is really about get better today. And that's what we're trying to do.
How much of a plus is it what Mike McKee's done the last couple of games, especially against those two teams, like good defensive teams, tough, hard-nosed kind of teams?
He belongs in those games. I keep saying that. He stands out, and he's not afraid of those moments. Physically, he stands out. He could take a bump, takes a hit, guards KD. Last night takes on, Tobias, Thompson, Holland. Took them all on one-on-one and was able to hold his own. And then offensively, this is just icing on the cake right now. Right now, his strength is on the defensive end, the physicality on the defensive end. Then you have the shot making, the offensive rebounding, the pace he plays at, the ability to share the ball and move the ball, which is what we want to do. He fits all that. So he's really trending in the right way for sure.
JB, there's probably a lot of things you wish to see over the remainder of the schedule, but what's one thing that you particularly want to see? Maybe at the top of your list.
The top of the list is this identity on the defensive end of physicality, grit, toughness, edge. If I could put it into one context, it'd be that. Just the defensive end, building an identity of physicality, toughness, grit, and that will fuel our offense, And we have found a little bit of success offensively. We're not where we need to be or want to be, but building this team, very similar to what Detroit did. They have built this team through the defensive lens. And for us to be a major player this year and into the future, we've got to find an edge and identity on the defensive side of the ball, period. And that's the goal the remainder of the season.
Do you think you have all the personnel that you need to have to fulfill kind of
obviously,
that
personnel, if you could go get 2 or 3 dogs on the defensive end, it's going to change your defense immediately. It doesn't matter what scheme you're in. The goal right now is, whether that happens or not, that's not my job. I don't control that. All I control is this group, who I play, how we play, and the identity and the things I hold them accountable to, and they hold each other accountable to. That's all I control. Teams have made massive jumps by bringing in new defensive players. That's not my goal and the task right now for me. It's to get this group of guys to buy into the defensive end, to guard one-on-one, to fight and scrap and claw for every possession defensively. And that's all I can control.